Hello, Ellie here. This is my sidekick Davi, and I know it's been a couple weeks since my last video, but I accidentally forgot my camera over winter break. So it's January, I'm back, and I'm a week late, but it's time for my December wrap-up. So I started off the month in the middle of one book, but I accidentally left it at work the first weekend. Instead, that weekend, I read Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. This is by the same author as All the Bright Places, which was one of my favorite books of last year. I adored this book as well. I do have a review for it, so click below to check that out, and I'll have a link to it at the end of the video as well, I think. This book is about a large girl, to put it simply, and a guy that has face blindness or the inability to recognize faces, which is interesting. And it's how they go along their journey. I really enjoyed this book. It made me think about things I didn't usually think about. There was one thing that kind of bothered me in it, and it wasn't so much something I didn't like in the story as just like lost potential. I think there was something that I thought was going to go somewhere and it ended up not. And I think it could have been something special. Anyway, I originally gave this 5 stars. I think I lowered it to 4, but a strong 4 stars. I really did enjoy this book. Next was the book that I started at the end of November, but accidentally left at school, so it ended up being the second book I finished in December, and that is Wayfarer by Alexandra Bracken. This is the second in the Passengers duology. I thought this was actually a trilogy as I was reading this book, which I thought was why it had a little bit of middle book syndrome. But then I realized that it wasn't a middle book. If you've watched some of my videos before, you know I'm not a huge fan of time travel, and the series does involve time travel. There was one aspect of the first one that I still did really enjoy, despite the fact that it was all set in this time travel world. This one was missing that aspect for most of the book, so I really had some trouble with this one. If you're someone that enjoys time travel in general, you'll probably like this one better than I did, though I still think that the second one is definitely weaker than the first one. I did like where it all ended up, but the road to get there wasn't that enjoyable. It was a struggle for me to read this book, which doesn't usually happen. Sorry. Next up, I read an arc for Hunted by Megan Spooner. This book comes out in March. It's a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it kind of turns Beauty and the Beast on its head in a fun way. There's no real villain in it, which is great. The sort of Gaston character is nothing like Gaston, and the Beast has a lot of depth, which I guess the one in the Disney movie does too, but in a different way. And Belle, who is already one of like the smartest princesses, is kick-ass, and I really enjoyed this book, as I usually enjoy fairy tale retellings, but this one was definitely a lot of fun. I'm probably not going to end up doing a review for it just because I read it months early, and I always have trouble doing reviews when it's that far in advance. But read it, because it's really good. It comes out in March. Read it. For the past couple years, anytime I read a couple like fantasy type books in a row, I have really felt the need to read a contemporary. So the final book I finished in December, so this was my final book I finished in 2016. Weird. Was P.S. I Like You by Casey West. This was my first Casey West book, though I've heard good things about a lot of her books. And this was so cute. It was about a girl who started writing notes on a desk because she wasn't allowed to write in her notebook anymore because she got in trouble for like writing song lyrics in her notebook instead of actually taking notes in class. So she has this thing stuck in her hand, she just writes it on a desk, and then the next day somebody has written the next line of her favorite song. They end up writing back and forth and falling for each other. It was so cute. My one issue is it was extremely predictable. I kind of had the entire storyline figured out in like the second chapter, but it was so cute and it was so worth the ride, even though like There weren't a ton of twists and turns. There were still some small twists and turns, but it was so cute. Definitely not one of like the quality reads of the year. If you just want like a feel-good, fun journey, definitely read it. It was so cute. I love it. I love this book. So cute. So cute. Okay, yeah, read it. The last book I started in 2016 was Magnus Chasing the Gods of Asgard, The Hammer of Thor. This is the second in the Magnus Chase series by Rick Riordan. I couldn't get through it. I got like 50 pages in like the last couple days of 2016, and honestly it's a week later now and this is all I've read. And I just read 200 pages of a different book today. I don't know. Like, I really enjoyed the first one in the series, but I had trouble with the first Apollo book too. I don't know if I'm like over Rick Riordan or if I'm like finally too old for middle grade or too surrounded by kids all the time for middle grade. I don't know, but I couldn't do it, and that scares me because these books are fun. Maybe I'm just done, or maybe I just need to try again at another time, but I couldn't do it. Like, I was enjoying it, and I recognize that it's enjoyable, and it's like similar to the other Rick Riordan books that I've loved, but I'm over it. I'm sorry, I just am. Oh, what a bad way to end this. I was really good in December, and I didn't buy any books at all, which is crazy. I also still have a million books that I haven't read yet from like purchases when they came out that I just didn't get a chance to read yet, and Y'all Fest in November. I did get 2 books from Entangled Teen, and you know how much I love my Entangled Teen books. I'm gonna show those. First up, I got Lost Girls by Marie DeStefano. Wow. So this looks like it's about a girl who goes missing and then shows up, but is basically a completely different person than before she went missing. I don't think she remembers what happened to her. She just knows that she's now a completely different person, which is weird, but interesting. The hands on the back. Ooh. Gonna read this at some point. Another book I got from Entangled Teen is Violet Grenade by Victoria Scott. This one seems like it's about a girl who has a demon in her head, and she ends up living with, I don't know if it's a circus, but it's something like that. Freak show, circus, something, I don't know. She decides that she wants to leave, and the woman that owns the circus type thing doesn't want her to go, but doesn't know about the demon in her head, and it sounds like it's gonna get chaotic. Whew, that sounds intense. Anyway, that's it for December. That's it for 2016. Check out my 12 months of 2016 video where I go through the most important books that came out each month of 2016, and yes, I put it to a song. I will link that below, and I will have a link to it at the end of this video. You can always follow me on Twitter at ReaderGonnaRead, just like my YouTube page. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and don't forget to subscribe. I will talk to you next time. Bye! Hang on, my next one's in the other room. It fell again. Why does Hunted keep wanting to fall?